Last time, in chapter 19 of Acts, we heard what happened when a riot broke out in Ephesus. Today, in chapter 20, we'll hear Paul's emotional address to the Ephesian elders. But there's some important stuff that happens in between. After the riot, Paul sends for the Ephesian believers, encourages them, and then hits the road for Macedonia. He pops in on believers all along the way, encouraging them in their faith, and then continues his encouragement tour all the way to Greece, where he stays for 3 months. This is hardly a vacation for Paul, as it's during this time that he probably writes 2 of the many letters he wrote to churches, Romans and Galatians. As he prepares to sail back to Syria, Paul gets wind of a plot by some enemies of the gospel to end his life. So he decides to reroute and head back the way he came. Fortunately, Paul is traveling with his buddy Luke, gospel writer and author of Acts. And when they land in Troas, they meet up with more friends, including Timothy and a slew of guys who aren't topping anybody's biblical baby names list: Sopater, Aristarchus, Secundus, Gaius, Tychicus, and Trophimus. The day before Paul is scheduled to leave town, the group gathers with the local believers for a Sunday service, where Paul ignores both his time clock and his audience's social cues and preaches until midnight. A young man named Eutychus finally hits his limit and nods off, and since he's sitting in a 3rd-story windowsill, promptly falls off the side of the building to his death. Paul pauses in mid-thought, goes down to the street where he takes Eutychus's lifeless body in his arms and tells the concerned onlookers not to worry. Eutychus is alive. As that miraculous flurry of activity has now roused the sleepy crowd, they all head back upstairs to share in the Lord's Supper and enjoy a meal together. And Paul picks right back up with his sermon and preaches until dawn. And that, in a nutshell, is the story between the story.